Hey, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Regina. And Mona's got her coffee, her tea, it looks like.
I have tea.
I want to welcome my very special guest, Mona Tenjo. Is it Tenjo? Did I pronounce that right?
Tenjo, correct.
Awesome. It's not always the way that I actually get the name pronounced correctly. So before we get to chatting, let me tell you a little bit about Mona. So Mona is the co-founder and CEO of Work on Your Business. How cool is that? As well as the co-host of, and you're going to love this, the World of AI podcast. And she's a multiple best time selling author. Now, she's been recognized as a top 100 entrepreneur by Speakers Excellence, and she has interviewed industry giants such as, fitness icon Jillian Michaels. I don't know if you're into fitness. I am. I know who Jillian Michaels is. So cool. And marketing genius Brendan Kane, and shedding light on their success stories. So she is a heart-centered coach, and she coaches heart-centered coaches to grow their businesses using AI because they're sick and tired of all this complex, confusing technology and the inconsistent cash flow, and being frustrated by having to wait on those external providers to get things done. So what she does is she helps them grow their business confidently on their own terms with really super easy AI tools while having fun. So I want to welcome you, Mona. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
AI is like the buzz. AI is all the buzz right now. And, the folks who follow me know that I call myself an AI empowered business strategist these days because I'm doing the same thing with AI. And I love chatting with AI folks who help people grow their businesses because, there's so many people who have not yet jumped on board to AI because they're scared. So when you think about that and you think about the folks that you've worked with, what do you think of that, and what do you tell your folks?
It is really a mindset shift happening right now. And this is why it's so difficult for people to understand that. I mean, I'm working with technology for more than 15 years. I used to be the AI in the companies. I used to do the dummy work where there was no system for when I was in my early career stages. So, I was the AI back in the days. And for me, AI is the best thing that ever happened to us because it levels the playing field. You don't need knowledge anymore. You don't need money, you don't need access, you don't need funds, you don't need the insider stuff that you needed to have, you don't need the resources anymore. You just need to be able to ask the right questions, and that's really the key skill set you need to have. But it doesn't have a huge learning curve like most systems used to have, right? So the old tech was always very complicated, but the new tech is just easy. And so this is for people hard to understand because we grew up with that complicated stuff, and we cannot believe as humans, like, it cannot be that easy. Yes, it is. And so this is why people get so shocked when they realize, oh my God, it is really not that difficult. And it's hard for them to believe because they have this mindset of tech is complicated.
That's a really interesting point. Let me bounce back to something you said in there, is that you don't need all those extra resources, all those extra tools, and all that stuff because AI can do it. So when you think about it, what types of things can be replaced by AI? Like what things are we paying for today that AI can do for us now?
A lot. So, I
Give,
mean, I,
give,
I
give us
use
just a handful or less of examples.
Yeah. So, I mean, for example, you used to do, a lot of the things that are automatable, everything that is repetitive can be done by AI, everything. As long as there's a rule in place, AI can do it. So everything and maybe this is challenging you as a business owner to think about, maybe I shouldn't do everything like individually. Maybe I should implement a process, which is the core of work on your business. You don't want to work in your business. You want to work on your business by creating processes that are repetitive, which you anyway need when you have an employee. You also need to have a process, right? But now you have the choice between, do I need an employee or do I need a bot? Now you can decide, I'm tired of people, I want a bot. Or I love my people, let me have my people, right? So now you have the choice. Anything that's repeatable, anything that is analytical. So analyzing a bunch of data, like AI is just so superior when it comes to this. Anything language-wise, translations, phrasing topics, anything that creates language, it's amazing, right? just pulling data together from different sources. Now, obviously, you do have to check the human in the loop, right? Don't take it at face value, but like you can get access to that information. That when I grew up, like you won't believe it. Yes, I am that old. When I grew up, we had no internet. We had a library. Like I had one little library exemplar, right? And I had to rely that what is in that book is correct. Like I had no way to double check that somewhere else. Now you really have on your fingertip, like, give me 5 sources where this was said, and then I can just check it like that, So it's on your fingertips. You just have to use it. Anything calculation-wise, it's getting better. Drawing. Like I save so much time with the images I can create because it's exactly what I want. I don't have to just find something like that, but I can get exactly the image I will have in my head that I want to have on paper. And I'm not a good in drawing. I'm not a painter, right? So me trying to do that myself, whoo. So this is just a few examples of the many things that's possible.
So from creating text to even just like you mentioned a ton of stuff in there. And one of the really cool things is that when you think about starting your business and building your business, a lot of people go right into what they do best. So it's like, oh, I'm a health coach, so I'm gonna start coaching people and teaching them how to lose weight or whatever it is that they do, right? And they forget about that whole business side of things. And when you talk about having some systems and processes in place, if you're building a business, people go, well, I don't know how to build systems and processes. So in the past, we used to hire people to do that. And now you can actually go out to AI and say, hey, I'm a health coach. I specialize in helping women over 50, postmenopausal lose weight. And I'm building this business where I'm coaching them. I need to put some system and processes in place so that I can make sure that I'm effectively, building my business and managing my clients. Can you help? And AI is going to come back and say, sure, I can. And it's going to give you a ton of information. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. Which is true. And I think really I think the key skill set we need nowadays is to make decisions. And this is where I see a lot of people get stuck because now you have so much information. Now you have to decide which ones you focus on. And this is where I see people get stuck. They're like, okay, now I have all this info. And this is a tricky thing, especially for people who like to plan. Like you can plan yourself to death with AI, but you haven't done a thing to grow your business, right? So this is the tricky part. And also people get sucked in. So one of the tips I give all my clients is put a timer up. 15 minutes research, and when the timer knocks, stop it. Like you can go forever. Absolutely.
This is my timer. I often tell people don't use your phone because if you use your phone for a timer, and you have it in front of you, if somebody calls you, texts you, or something else dings, now that's going to distract you. So I choose to use this because nothing distracts me when I have that on.
I have actually an app called Focus Keeper because it silences all the stuff like coming in, the notifications and everything. So it's like switching it off, and then I always have different sounds. So for working, I like waves, like it relaxes me for working, and I'm still very productive. But when it is like break time, I have a different music, so it keeps me on track.
I like that. You just gave us a really good tip. So Focus Time is an app that helps, and it actually silences everything else.
It's based on, as a Focus Keeper is the app that's called. I think there's a free version for that. You can use it for free, and it's based on the Pomodoro technique. So it always has start slow, guys. Okay, start with 10 minutes. If you are not used to working focus, start with 10 minutes. That's a lot, But ideally, you want to get into 25-minute slots. So 25 minutes of work time, 5 minutes break, and you repeat that 4 times, and then you have a big break. So then you have a 30-minute break, or you end it, depending on how much you want to do it. But most people don't even. If you really have to work focus for 25 minutes, you would be shocked how much you get done. So most people run out of prepared activities or questions they want to answer in that 25 minutes, and they're after 15 minutes done, and they're like, I don't know what else to do for the rest of the 10 minutes. So it's a little bit of it requires exercise to schedule your work chunks in a way that you can actually fill the 25 minutes effectively without taking longer to finish the task. That's a little bit of exercise required.
Yeah, no, I love that because that's what I tell people, hit that hit your sweet spot for the time that you can max focus. Because for some people, it could be 10 minutes. For some people, it's 20 minutes. For some people can focus for an hour. I don't know who those people are. They're not my people. Because I've lost attention long before an hour comes up. So my focus time is not an hour. For me, my sweet spot's around that 25 to 30 minutes, and that's it. And then it's okay, 5-minute break, and then move along. And so that's actually a really cool tool. So back to the AI stuff, for AI for business. And when you think about the AI, because I talk to people and my folks about this all the time too, and I know you have lots of insight on this. It's all about the prompting, and people get confused and go, well, I don't understand what prompt engineering is. Well, you don't need to know. Prompt engineering is just talking to AI. And there is a strategy to it, and that's the skill you were talking about. You just need to learn that skill. So when people are getting started out, what do you tell them to do?
Yeah. So I usually tell people, like, first of all, you have to understand how AI generates responses in the first place. Okay. So it's not a thinking organism that replies like straight back and comes up with original ideas. That's not what AI is. AI is giving you the most likely answer. So it has access to a bunch, like, imagine this like an ocean of knowledge. Okay, it has an ocean of knowledge, and now you ask a question, and now that AI tool, depending on how it is programmed and what it is supposed to do, is going in this ocean of knowledge and thinking of, okay, this question, when other people ask this question, this is typically what they want to know. So it's giving you the most likely answer that you want to know when you ask the question. That's why your words are very important, which words you use, right? And then basically the way, so once you know that, then you're not so disappointed when you ask, like, give me 20 ways how to promote my business. You will get the most likely, so the top 10, top 20 ways, and you will be like, but I know all of them already. Well, that's what you ask for, right? If you ask for, give me 20 unique ideas, or original ideas, creative ideas, you will get different results. So it really comes down to the words you use. Once you understood that, then the way you best start is you start with, what's the goal you want to have. So never go in AI if you don't have a goal, because you're wasting your time. Have a goal, and then based on your goal, so is your goal getting information? Is your goal creating something, right? What is your goal? And then keep in mind what the end goal is you have, and then start asking. So if you already know what you want to do, you can go straight in. If you don't know it, say, hey, I would like to do this marketing campaign. I don't know how to do marketing campaigns. Tell me what I need to give you as information so that I get a good outcome. And then AI can tell you what it requests from you. And then you start working like this. So I always recommend start broad, and then funnel it slower down and say, okay, from all I said, I want to focus on this. Or from those 20 options, let's focus on this. But let's start broad and then narrow in. Because many people go too narrow from the beginning, and then they get frustrated because they don't really get forward, because they haven't narrowed it down, and then they were too locked in, and then they're not getting out there anymore. Then sometimes you need to broaden it up to get better results back. And so that's the trick, that most people go straight to the point, and then they're like, but I haven't got a good result. Well, you haven't asked a good question. That's the point.
Yeah. Oh, we talk about that all the time. Garbage in, garbage out, right? So it is really, when I chat with people about AI, I say, talk to it just like you're talking to a person. So if you had a VA, if you had a virtual assistant sitting in front of you, and you were going to give them instructions on what it was you wanted them to do, that's the same way that you're talking to AI. Hey, I need this. I need some social media posts for the next week, and the theme is this, and we're putting it on this, and here's what I want with it. Here's how I want it to come out. I want it to be engaging, and you go in and you would tell that person that. Well, that's how you talk to AI too. But you brought up something really super interesting, which I've used too, and I absolutely love it. AI is like the best friend I never knew I had. I right, or whatever, because I can sit there and have this conversation with AI and say, here's what I'm trying to do. I can say, act as if you're a world-class business consultant and you're helping a client with their systems and processes for their business, and here's what they do. What questions do I need to ask them in order for them to be able to create effective processes for their business, or whatever it is? You're asking AI the question instead of telling AI what you want. Instead of saying, hey, create some posts for me, create this lead magnet for me, create an email for me, you can say, hey, AI, I have no clue how to do this. What questions would you ask to get the information that you need so that you can then help me with this? And AI will be more than happy to say, well, let me just start asking you some questions. And the very first time that I ever did that, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I had this like 20-minute conversation with AI, and I said, well, what about this? And it's like, oh, well, then I would do this with that, and then maybe ask you this question too. And I was like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that. And it just kept prompting and prompting and prompting questions, so that I then could take what I learned out of it and then go, great, this is actually what I'm looking for. Now that we've got this nailed down, can you help me with this? And it gave me the exact result that I was looking for.
Awesome. Awesome. The issue I find often is that people don't even know what questions to ask. So, I mean, AI is brilliant at helping you solve problems. But if you don't know that you have a problem, right? so, so I think often it's the issue, like they're sitting in front of the AI and they're like, what should I be asking? Well, where do you have a problem in your business? I don't know. Like, okay, do you get enough sales? No. Okay, that's a problem. So let's like often people have an issue like figuring out what to even ask. So I mean, for me, it's often like, I mean, I have it open all day long, but like sometimes I also forget to use it, honestly, because we're just working, right? And sometimes I'm like, why am I not asking AI for that? Like, stupid you, right? And so usually I get very quick to that point where I get frustrated. When I'm frustrated, when I'm tired, and I'm like, just let AI do the work. Come on. Don't even bother doing it yourself, But often it's like, it's a habit of having it open, and it's a habit of like not having that hesitation to ask. Like, what are you afraid of? Like, it doesn't talk back, at least not ChatGPT. Moshi might. Moshi might talk back. I love that thing. Have you tried Moshi?
No, I haven't tried that one yet.
This is a conversational tool from France. And like you talk into it and it talks back, and it talks back like a human. It can talk sometimes over you. It's a little bit cheeky. So I love that tool. Like, it's for women. This is awesome. Like, when they demonstrated it, they were saying like, hey, Moshi, I would like to go and climb Mount Everest. And Moshi was like, oh, you have to be fit for that.
How do you spell it? Moshi or
Moshi? Yes. It's a French research lab who's doing that. It's voice-based, so it's entirely voice-based. So you don't type, but it types back, so you can copy it out later on. So it's a lot of fun. So that is more like entertainment stuff, where you just like, I mean, it can also do research and stuff like that, right? But that's like a different type. So that one could talk back, but ChatGPT usually doesn't talk back. It's very polite. It's like, thanks for letting me know, or yes, you are totally right. When you say like, no, this is not true, it's like, oh, you're right, So it's very polite. So what are you really afraid of? Like, just ask your question. Like, I mean, I understand sometimes when people are in coaching, they're a little bit hesitant. Like, I don't want to really show that I have an issue, but like, it's a tool. It doesn't do anything. It's not forwarding your information anywhere. What are you really afraid of? Like, this is the easiest and best way to start solving any problem you have. And you just have to explain the situation. What is the situation? Where exactly do you have the problem? And say, help me.
Exactly. And so let me ask you this, because I have actually subscriptions to two AIs, which is ChatGPT and Claude. And I'll tell you, I use Claude more than I use ChatGPT. ChatGPT still has a lot of issues with hallucinations. And it's actually, they had an issue last week where I guess they went off the rails last week.
I know. I get a lot of messages. Bola, it's off. I know. Take another one. Like, I mean, this is the thing. Like, there's not only ChatGPT. There's Perplexity. There's Claude, right? There's Gemini. There are other ones. Guys, don't freak out. Just take another one.
Right. So, and that's what I tell people too. It's like, there's so many different ones that are out there. I mean, even Meta's new Meta AI is really good. And I'll tell you, I've been using that a lot when I actually have something specific for any of the Meta products, because it's Meta AI. It knows Meta. So if I have a question about the algorithm, if I have a question about something that's going on, I go into Meta AI and ask it, because it knows best. It is Meta. So, depending on which tools that you're using, I like Claude because I tend to get the answers better that I'm looking for from Claude. And a lot of times I'll do a cross check, and I'll put the same thing into ChatGPT that I put into Claude to see what the two of them come up with different. And it's kind of amazing, because when you put the two of them together, it's almost like you get, if you didn't get exactly what you were looking for with the two of them together, it's you usually have that perfect mix. And I mean, I'm talking like creating something bigger. So like, not just going, hey, can you create a social media post for me, or help me with this issue that I'm having, or answer this question. It's more of a, hey, I'm writing an ebook on this, and I'm looking for information on, this subject. Can you help me out? And you put it in different places, and you get different perspectives, because each one of the AI tools kind of has its own personality. And
also they're fed with different sources. We shouldn't forget that, right? I mean, each of these systems is trained. So that's why, depending on what your purpose is, you may want to look at a different AI because they're trained differently, and you want to make sure that you don't just always don't forget. I mean, somebody programmed those programs, I'm not like a conspiracy theorist or whatever, right? But somebody programmed that tool. Somebody gave that tool moral ethics, but whose values is it? So always check that with yourself. If you do not agree with something, don't use it. Like, very simple. Like, nobody gives you the duty to copy paste something from an AI and put it out in the world. Like, you still have to use your brain. You still have to say, no, I disagree. No, I see it differently. You still have to think for yourself, right? And so never take that away, or never let anybody take that away from you. This is our right as human beings, that we are allowed to think for ourselves. So don't let any tool take that away from you, okay? But still use it for the benefit. I mean, I think I had one time a conversation with somebody who was really annoyed on AI because they had clients who were going out and saying like, well, I can have an 80% version of you. And she complained to me, and I was like, so what? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, you are very chill. And I was like, yeah, so what? I was like, we both know that the 1% that you add is the 20,000 they pay for, not the 80% of AI. Like, everybody can create that. It was like, you should actually use that 80% yourself and not do that work yourself. You should get your 80% version of yourself and then add your 1%. And that's what they pay for. I will tell the client, hey, go ahead. Let me know how that works out for you. But be aware that if you come back, I double the price. That's how I do it. I'm very fair. I'm very fair, and I always give you the best price. But if you think that you can use an AI, get it cheaper, and then come back and complain you didn't get the result, then I double the price just because.
I mean, there you go. And I mean, because you know what you're doing, and and there is a lot to be learned about AI. And the thing is that in the world of technology, AI is the new kid on the block, and it's going to be growing and growing and growing, and more things are going to become AI. And AI, a lot of people are like, well, these AI images and all these other things with that stuff, and they're like, oh, I can spot an AI image. Well, that's great. Well, some of the AI images, yeah, you can spot them a mile away that they're AI images. However, if that image is appropriate for whatever the text is, then who cares if it was AI generated?
Yeah, totally.
So I mean,
you have to tweak it a little bit, because I think AI has a generic thing of always making supermodels. I was like, can you please put realistic people in that image? That would be very nice. So that's like, but again, like, I totally am with you. I mean, so many times I'm trying to find a picture and I just can't find it, but I want to get a certain point across. That's why we use images. We want to get a certain point across. And if I cannot find that image and I have a tool who's able to create it for me, what's like illegal about it? So what?
Right. And so speaking of that, so we've got a lot of ethical issues. We've got a lot of plagiarism stuff. We've got copyright stuff. Talk about some of the stuff about AI, because that a lot of people, they're like, well, I'm not using AI because of all these concerns. They're like, well, there's plagiarism, there's this, there's that. Talk about, those pieces, because yes, there is some stuff, and there's ways around it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I would never tell you, I mean, yes, you can use AI to write a book for you. The question is, do you want that? Because at the end of the day, you want to write a book because you are an expert at what you do. So you have certain opinions about certain topics. So, I mean, using AI to formulate your ideas is in some ways a really good thing, because if I read some books, I'm like, you lost me at page 2 already. I don't even know, like, because some people just have an issue formulating things in a sequence that I can understand and digest it, right? So if that is a problem you have, yes, absolutely use AI to help you formulate your ideas. Should AI come up with the ideas that you are claiming to be an expert in? I don't think so. I mean, you can cross-check and say, I would like to write about this. Did I forget something? Cool, go ahead, right? But like, again, it comes down to how are you using it? I think it's an awesome idea to be able to create some music on AI. Now, am I a fan of having somebody, I'm not going to name names, use somebody who's already deceased without the consent of the family? No, absolutely not. You have to have a permission for that. Absolutely. But again, this is the normal copyright thing. On images, if they're AI generated, there is currently no copyright. So guys, go ahead. The gray zone is right now there. And sometimes in entrepreneurship, you want to make use of gray zones. Don't breach the law ever. Don't do that. But like, there are gray zones. There are certain ways where there's no rule right now. So take advantage of this as long as there is none. I mean, there may come one and then you're limited again. But I mean, this is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is about understanding opportunities and jumping at them when you see them, and not like, ooh, let's wait until the law comes. Why? If you have a financial investment opportunity and you can make money before a law changes, why would you not do that? So as long as it is legal, why not? So the same thing is true with AI. Legislation always lags behind. Of course, I encourage everybody, please use it ethically, okay? So if you can have an AI bot who's answering questions on a phone, so you can have dial bots, right, who are answering questions. Just let the other person know that this is a bot. There's nothing wrong with that, and give the people a choice to say, I don't want to talk to a bot, but most people want questions answered immediately. And they want it 24/7. And if you are not able to provide that and the bot is able to do it and the people are fine with talking to the bot, why would you not use that? And maybe 70% of the questions can be answered like that, which is a win-win for both people. The person has the answers they want. You didn't have to stand up in the middle of the night. Everybody knew what it was. It was very transparent. So what's the problem about that? So as long as you use it ethically, and if you claim to be an expert, use your brain. For the topics you put out, right, for what you stand for, that this is what you are as a human being, right, who you are. So definitely stand that, but like, there's nothing wrong in enhancing, in improving, in adding to it. There's nothing wrong about that.
Right. And, you actually packed a lot in there, because there's some other things we could talk about, but we're going to run out of time before we can get there. So we might have to have another conversation. I know you and I could talk AI like forever.
Yeah.
So some of the key points in there too is that, you want to use those ethics. You want to check the sources, because, I talked about ChatGPT hallucinations. I asked ChatGPT the other day to give me a quote. And I specifically said I was looking for a quote that had specific words in it. And so it gave me a quote and it had those specific words in it. So then I went out and I Googled the quote, and there was no quote that had those words in it. And so I went back to ChatGPT and I said, the original quote doesn't have those words in it. There's like, well, we added those words in because you wanted those words inside the quote, but the real quote is actually this. And then I looked that one up, and that was actually the actual quote. So you got to be careful how you're prompting things, because if you're putting stuff out there for face value, like you said, you said that earlier, is that, you can't take it for face value. You have to put the stuff in, and then you do need to fact check your stuff. That's one of the reasons you mentioned very briefly Perplexity. And I love Perplexity. I talk about Perplexity, using that for research all the time, because I love that it cites its sources.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it also has a larger variety of sources. So ChatGPT usually takes 2 or 3 of the same always. And when you repeat, you realize that. But like Perplexity is more diverse in terms of the sources it takes from. So definitely for sources, I would always go there right now, at least.
Yeah, it's the key with Perplexity is it does cite its sources, but sometimes those sources aren't necessarily good sources. So always check anything that you get from AI. I mean, that's one of the keys that we're talking about here, is that, it's a tool. It's not a person. It's not a human. It is a tool. And like Mona said, it's that, these programs, ChatGPT and Claude and Meta and, was it Moshi and all these other ones that are out there, they were all created by a human being who put their own little stamp on it.
Yeah.
So be careful what you use and how you use it. What kind of because we are running out of time. Again, we could talk forever. How do people get a hold of you if they want to chat more about, how you help people with their AI for business and how they can more effectively run their business using AI?
Yeah, I mean, if you just really type my name in Google, you will pretty much land on all my social media profiles. So my name is pretty unique. So you can find me on LinkedIn, obviously, right? You can find me on Facebook. On Instagram is not really my favorite channel, to be very honest. This is another story for another time. But I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and you can also just send me an email, Mona at work on your business. So it's always having a little minus in between, work minus on minus your minus business.com. But you will see this also on my profiles. If you just go to my LinkedIn profile, there you have my contact information. You can get a hold of me. I think if you use monatenjo.com, I think you should be even landing on my LinkedIn profile.
Did I type that in right?
Yes, correct. Perfect. Thank you
Mona
so
at
much.
work-on-your-business.com. All right.
Correct. And I think if you just type monatenjo.com, I think you land on my LinkedIn profile, actually. So
Awesome.
it's even the easiest way to find me.
Is there any one, real key tidbit that you'd like to leave us with?
I mean,
there's a lot of them.
AI, yeah, but I mean, I really think the most important one is really AI will not take you out of business, but people who use will. So, if you don't use it, that's on you. But somebody else, like AI itself, will not take you out. But people who are using it, they will take you out of business because they're faster, more efficient. They get better results faster. So you have a choice, of course. You can choose. And I mean, again, I think this is one of those developments where you can decide if you want to jump on it or not. But be aware that this development happens so fast that you may not be able to catch up.
That is so true because things change on a dime. Like you brought up Moshi. I haven't even heard of that one yet. So there are literally hundreds of thousands of AI tools out there, and it's every single day it's growing and growing and growing, and more stuff is coming out. Jump on the AI bandwagon. Trust me, trust Mona. It will help you build your business. It will help you scale your business. It will help you get more clients. It'll help you when you can't figure out what you're supposed to be doing.
Totally.
It is the place to go. Just don't lose sight of that human element, that human factor that goes with it. All right. Thank you, Mona, so much for being with us today. This has been, I could chat with you about AI forever.
We can do another one, no worries.
We need to do a deep dive or something, or maybe like a little webinar together or something. So
we can do that, absolutely.
That'd be great. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time on Coffee with Regina. Bye for now.